I've got two weapons for you today, the mace and the rope, and I'm going to show you why these are so crucial for your shoulder development. Let's go. What's up guys, Kyle with HypertroFit.com, the best place to design your home gym and develop your training program. Today I'm bringing you two of my favorite shoulder tools, and these are not your commonplace pieces of equipment, but they fit perfectly in a home gym because they're incredible at what they do. They train your shoulders like nothing else that you have, and they take up next to no space. And I am of course talking about the rope and the mace. So these are two very unique tools, especially in a strength training environment, because most of the training that we do in a home gym, a commercial gym, or just anything related to bodybuilding, powerlifting, or in between is pushes and pulls in the sagittal plane. So forward and back. Shoulders need to be worked in a bunch of different directions because they're essentially just a golf ball on a tee with a bunch of muscles pulling in various directions. So if we're only training in one direction or throwing some lateral raises, now you're in the frontal plane too, you're still missing rotation around the axis or the transverse plane. That's where these two implements perform incredibly well, and both in different ways. So we're going to start with the mace, and what we're looking at here is actually the Kensui EZ-MACE V2. This is the max variant, which comes in metal. They also have a wood variant that's cheaper, so this one they did send to me for free for review. This comes in at $149, whereas the wood variant of this is $49, so an incredible value if you're just looking to get into mace work. And this is plate loadable, so this is a normal Olympic 5-pound plate that I have on here. It comes with the collar, and you just load up as much as you need. Now this is a 6.5-pound implement. With 5 pounds on here, I'm at 11.5 pounds. And if you've never swung a mace before, I'll tell you right away, you don't need a lot of weight. And what makes this a really nice option is that the knurl goes more than halfway up this 40-inch mace. And the reason that's nice is because when you first learn how to swing these, you do not want to be holding the very bottom because it's much harder. So you actually want to be able to choke up and start your swing from this position. So having a mace that allows you to traverse the length of it with proper knurl is really nice. Overall, like I said, this is 6.5 pounds. It's a 37.5 millimeter diameter, which is actually on the thick side and feels really nice. Like I said, knurled more than halfway up, and it's just a really quality piece of equipment. There are nicer maces out there, but they're more expensive, and if you've never swung one before, you're probably not even going to notice the difference. Rogue does have one that has bearings, and it's basically like a loaded barbell sleeve at the top, so it actually spins. But again, I'm not noticing any friction with this as I'm going through the movements, and it does a phenomenal job at what I'm aiming to do. I am not a pro in any respect. I'm very much a beginner when it comes to mace work, and it's something that I've started to incorporate very recently into my training, but the benefits are incredible. You're essentially performing a loaded swinging stretch to start a 360 swing, and then a lat pull down or pull over on the opposite side to bring the weight back to its starting position. There's a bunch of different variations of mace swings that you can do. I primarily work on the 360s or the 10-2, where you're kind of doing a partial 360 and then going back the other direction. They're both phenomenal movements at warming up the shoulders and training them directly. I like to throw these in typically the day after my heavier pressing work so that I can really open the shoulders up. The rotational movement is not something you're going to find in any sort of traditional strength work or machine or anything like that. You can kind of mimic the same idea with like a kettlebell and going around the head with the weighted kettlebell, and that works fine, but this is just different due to the momentum. Over time, you can start to build this up with more weight, and it just feels cool once you really get this motion down. You're really swinging a weapon here. It can be dangerous to others. It can certainly be dangerous to yourself when you first start to learn the movement. So again, start with that choked up position. And if you've never done this before, definitely give the Kensui mace a look, because from a price point standpoint, at $149 for the steel and $49 for the wood, pretty much unbeatable in terms of a loaded mace. There's obviously, again, high quality versions out there, but learn the motion first on the basics, and then you can worry about more if you want to dive any deeper. Now the next thing is the rope, and you might be looking at this like, what on earth do you do with a rope? This is not a jump rope. This is a flow rope, and I was first introduced to rope flow through a GymSmith video where he went on home gym tours and actually met with ISSA, who is big into the rope flow game, and I actually bought one of his courses to start to get into it. And rope flow you can kind of think of as like movement-based yoga with a rope. So it's not a rigid or strength-based exercise. It's much more about movement, breath work, and flowing with the weight of the rope. So this is considered a beginner heavy rope. This is about 2 pounds in total weight. They can go up, although I've seen 11-pound ropes at the top end, but you typically want to start with like the 1-2 pound ropes to get a feel for the movement. And again, I'm definitely not a master of rope flow, but you can think of it, like I said, as yoga, in that there are different movements, you learn different patterns, and then eventually you can string them together. And what's amazing about rope flow in conjunction with something like mace swings is that there isn't a bunch of resistance to this, but we're able to flow the body through positions and motions it's not typically going in. So if you're constantly beat up, your shoulders are bugging you, and there's all kinds of different movements that you have to avoid because everything is tight, this might be your saving grace. There is not a lot of resistance to this, and you're going to feel awkward at first, but if you really practice it, you'll start to notice that these motions open you up in totally different ways. And when you combine this with the mace work, you have the mace doing heavier, more strength, stretch, loaded position, rotational work, and then the rope is doing the same type of thing with less rigidity and less resistance. So you're able to just flow through positions that your body's not normally in. By combining these, you'll bulletproof your shoulders and add a lot of versatility, stability, and mobility to that upper region of your body. Trust me, if you've never done this before, you're gonna look like a fool the first time that you do it, but practice it and it will pay dividends. So these two implements, again, they take up no space. We're talking about a rope and a mace, which you can just tuck in the corner when you're not using. This particular rope is a pretty nice one. It's called a SlushRope, but you can just as easily pick up something off of Amazon for around 30-40 bucks, get swinging and understand the practice, again, before wanting to upgrade, and you can see if this is really going to start paying off for you. So if anyone's ever tried different maces, let me know your thoughts on the Kensui or the Rogues or various other mace bells that are out there. And if you've gotten into rope flow, tell me what your favorite moves are, because again, I am trying to learn some more. I have some of the basics down, like the drag and roll and the race and chase, but I still need a lot of work to really build up my repertoire. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will catch you again in the next one.